What's up, guys? Dr. Andrew Fix coming back to you here on The Code. As you know, I'm from Physio Room, and this is going to be fun. I'm actually sitting in the gym this morning. One of our offices is located within a gym, and for what we're going to talk about today on this episode, the cost of weakness, I think it's pretty appropriate that we're here in the gym. So without any further ado, let's just jump right into it. Before we do, thank you guys so much for tuning in to listen to this episode of The Code. If you've never listened to one before, I hope this is valuable to you, and hopefully we get to have you tune into more episodes going forward. Again, we're gonna talk about the cost of weakness, and there was a study that was done. Underneath this sweatshirt, I'm actually wearing the shirt from our friends at ICE, the Institute of Clinical Excellence. Shout out to them for helping me find this piece of research. And there was a study done in the UK, 2018, I believe is when it was, and they examined grip strength and how that relates to healthcare costs moving forward. So they took people that were between the ages of 71 and 80, so the older population, they measured their grip strength, and there was like a cutoff. Are you as strong as you're supposed to be, or are you weaker than you should be for like the norm of that age? And then they measured those people for the next year on what their associated health-related costs or health-related spending was. And well, I don't know if this would be surprising to you or not, but the people that tested the weaker ones in that study that fell below that threshold compared to the ones that fell above that threshold spent more dollars on their health in the hospitals, in the physician's office, et cetera, more costs associated with the weaker people than with the stronger people. And grip strength is actually a really good measure of longevity and of overall body strength, because though it is a quick measurement, right, you can get a very specific exact number in terms of pounds or newtons or like whatever method of measurement, whatever unit of measurement you're going to use. But it's very hard to get a strong grip and not strengthen the rest of your body, right? Like most people, now you may hear me say that and you say, well, I'm just gonna go do a bunch of grip strengthening. But most people that have a very strong grip overall in their body are fairly strong people. Conversely, most people that have very weak grip strength are going to be overall not the strongest people, typically, because it's hard to build a robust, strong, functioning body without demonstrating some grip strength, right? You're gonna have to pick some things up, you're gonna have to lift some weights, you're gonna have to carry things, and as a byproduct, your grip is going to get stronger. So anyways, let's talk about aging for just a second, and then let's get into, highlighting some of the points of this article. So as we age, right, pretty much every body system that we have, our cardiovascular system, our pulmonary system, our respiration, our immune function, our reproductive health, all of these things tend to decline as we age, right? Folks that are older compared to folks that are younger are gonna have weaker, less robust cardiovascular system. Your heart's not gonna beat as strongly, your heart's not gonna be able to pump blood as efficiently, your vessels get weaker as we age. Respiratory wise, our lungs and our respiration, it's not as efficient, right? Our heart rate's gonna be higher, it's gonna be harder to what's the word I wanna use? Like recover and bring your breathing back to normal after intense exercise, for example. You're not gonna be able to tolerate intense exercise quite as easily as you probably could have if you were younger. Immune-wise, we're more likely to get sick as we age. Our immune system is not as strong, right? It's no surprise that older individuals are more likely to have significant ramifications if they get sick when they're older compared to somebody who is younger. And then same thing, our ability to reproduce, our reproductive system, our likelihood of getting infections and things related to that is gonna go up as we age. And those are just changes that are gonna happen, right? We're not necessarily going to prevent those changes, but they're things that we have to be aware of and understand how important it is to keep taking care of ourselves and to keep trying to mitigate those things as we age, like keep trying to push those off further and further and further by doing a great job of taking care of ourselves. So again, back to this study, weaker people spent more money on their health, addressing things, than stronger people did. So it is more beneficial cost-wise, price-wise, more dollars in your pocket to be stronger than it is to be weaker. But how much? So in that year that they followed these folks, they found that the 71 to 80-year-olds that were weaker had a 250% increase in spending relative to the stronger individuals, which is absolutely crazy. Now they're using pounds, right? Pounds in the UK compared to dollars here in the United States. But what they found was that equated to 3.25 billion pounds per year difference, which, give or take a pound in the UK right now is about $1.26, so $1.26 here in the United States. So that would be even more, right? This math isn't perfect, but that's probably more like $4 billion per year more that the weaker individuals are going to spend on their health compared to the stronger ones. So it pays, or I guess I should say it saves, to be strong, right? And like I said, we're here in the gym, a place where you can work on that and you can get strong. Again, one of the questions that was posed by our friends at ICE, again, Institute of Clinical Excellence, great continuing education company for rehab professionals like myself. They put out some awesome content and have some great courses. Is it possible that some of our normal aging, the stuff we talked about before, the fact that our body just isn't as resilient, that our body can't recover as well, that our body is going to decrease its function and its efficiency in all of our systems, is it possible that some of what we consider normal aging, that's just part of getting old, is really just deconditioning, right? Is it possible that some of the things that we think of as this is just normal as we age could be mitigated by continuing to train, by continuing to try to get stronger, get more endurant, improve our function from a fitness and a function standpoint? Yeah, I bet you it is. And I think we don't have to look too much further than when we look at trained, fit, older adults. Their function and their health status is very similar. The amount of muscle that they carry and stuff, their endurance markers, how well they perform in tests of fitness, like fitness competitions or races, running marathons, for example. Trained older adults are very similar to untrained younger adults. So just for example, these numbers may not be exact. A 70-year-old or a 65-year-old that is very fit may be similar to a 40-year-old who's not very fit. And that's an amazing thing, because then it's not just, and I use that in air quotes, it's not just the aging that is going to dictate what we can do, how we feel, how long we live, etc. How well we take care of ourselves, how strong we are, how fit we are, what things we can do play an enormous role in that. And fit, trained older adults can be extremely functional, can perform really well in races and competitions and whatever, like in life. They can just do things that most people can't, and it's because they train, it's because they take care of themselves. And when you're doing that, the intensity matters. So there's other studies out there that show the health benefits of like strength training, of running, of walking, etc. From a literature standpoint, it's just plain and simple that walking is not an adequate form of exercise. Now, if we want to talk about hiking with backpacks and rucking and doing things where you're putting external load on your body, maybe, right? That's different, because you're increasing the challenge. But just simply walking and hoping that that is going to lead to long-term positive health changes, unfortunately, we don't see it, right? Unfortunately, we just don't see that, because it is not an intense enough activity. Now, for somebody who's just getting back into exercise, who maybe has been sedentary for years, walking could be intense. But at a certain point, if they continue to do that, walking is just going to be walking, right? It's not going to feel very challenging, and it's not going to move the needle very much in terms of continuing to improve their health and their fitness and their longevity. You're going to plateau out really fast, because it's just not an intense enough activity. The intensity really matters. We need to be pushing it. We need to be challenging ourselves, and we need to be doing things that are hard, that require speed, that require power and strength. And those things are going to lead to positive health changes. They're going to lead to things like reducing your fall risk, improving your balance. And we know that those two things are very high risks as we age for continuing to let our health go downhill. If somebody's older falls, hurts themselves, right? Say they break their leg, they break their hip, they break their wrist. The chances of somebody who's older, 65 plus, falling, breaking a hip, what happens with those individuals? Approximately 1/3 of them, unfortunately, don't live more than one more year, don't live past the next 12 months. 1/3 of them spend the rest of their life in some sort of assistance, and the other 1/3 of them end up going on to make a pretty much full recovery. And those statistics are extremely scary, right? Like, think of yourself or anyone you know that's older. Could you imagine them falling and having a 1/3 chance that they're not going to be around 12 months from now? I mean, that scares the heck out of me. I know plenty of people that are very close to me that are 65 plus. So, I want those people to be as strong and resilient as they possibly can, because then we can improve those numbers in our favor, right? So as you're thinking about this, I want you to just think like, what am I doing on a daily and or weekly basis to improve my strength? What am I doing to improve my power, my speed? What things am I doing, not just walking, that are going to move the needle in terms of I'm going to be spending less healthcare dollars as I age because I'm strong, because I'm taking care of myself, because I'm eating a certain way, I'm getting proper sleep, I'm doing the resistance training. And if you're not already doing it, a great place to start would be 2 days per week of strength training, right? Could it be more? Absolutely. Could it be less? Yes, and that could still be beneficial if it's more than what you're already doing. But 2, at the very least, is at least going to continue to move that needle forward. You don't get a lot of benefit from lifting weights 1 day per week, though it is better than none. But I would recommend 2 plus to really see the benefits of that, so that you can challenge things, progressively overload things, and increase your weight and your resistance so that you can get stronger. And then when you're doing that, and we're working in these different rep ranges, many people lift weights, but we just talked about walking is not an adequate intensity in terms of exercise. We need the same thing in our resistance training. Grabbing, just for example, grabbing a very light weight and doing a lot of reps is not going to move the needle in terms of getting you stronger as you age, like picking up a heavier weight and doing fewer reps, right? Something that's actually going to challenge you from a strength standpoint, and not just something that you could do as many reps as you want, because it's not actually that hard. Now, while you're doing that, whether you're young, whether you're older, making sure you're getting adequate protein in is so important, because if you're gonna spend the time and spend the effort putting in the work, you wanna make sure you're recovering from that so that your body can do what it's meant to do and recover and repair and build more muscle mass and repair the tissues that you damaged in a good way, right? You worked them, they need to break down and they need to repair to get stronger. So, we usually give that recommendation of 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. And if you're getting very close to that, that's a good place to start. So think about that as well. What are you doing now, daily or weekly, to move the needle forward from a strength perspective? Are you recovering adequately? Are you getting the adequate nutrition in so that your body can do what it's meant to do from that strength training that you're doing? And if you do those things, statistically, based on research like this, you are likely to spend less money on health problems that you deal with later in life than those who are weaker. So get out there, get strength training. I know I got a little rambly on this episode. I appreciate you sticking with me, sticking with us here on The Code to finish out this episode. If you've not heard me say this before, man, reviews go an extremely long way on this podcast. If you've never left one, I ask you now, please go leave us a review. Whatever podcast platform you're listening on, that would be huge. Thank you so much in advance. And then I'm recording this as of the holidays. You're probably listening to it after. I hope your holidays were amazing. Hope you got plenty of time with friends, family, good food, and are looking forward to crushing it here in the new year. We'll catch you guys next time on The Code. See you later.